Hi, welcome back to our part two of job search. I'm going to continue our discussions on the job search. So previously I have shared about heart, and today I'm going to talk about the market. So let me share the screen. So let's continue on part two on the job search, which will be talking about the market. Before that, let me start by introducing myself again. So my name is Marcus. I'm a career coach. I've been working in different industries, as you can see from the logo at the top. Is ranging from agriculture, semiconductor, chemical companies, life science, as well as I work for government, foreign government, as well as a private-owned company. So I had the privilege to represent HR in various senior management positions. I created IFU69 and Career Freedom Society for a missions to help a million next generations international and local leaders to start and develop their careers in Singapore. So this is who am I, and I've gone through as well many different restructurings, organization change, relocations, including myself relocated from different countries, and now I base in Singapore. So yes, I declare that I'm the most suitable person that you can talk to if you want to talk about career, starting your career, or even changing a career to another field, to another industry. So on the left, you can see the Facebook and Instagram that you can follow under Marcus B Job and Career. So this is short informations about myself. So let's talk to the topic. There are three topics that I would like to cover under job search. One is heart, second is market, third is network. Previously, I already mentioned about heart, which is the engine of everything, I call it, because the first letter H is represent our heart. Heart will impact us in a lot of areas, starting from a positive thinking, and also ability for us to go to navigate around the current vulnerable situations, uncertainty, complex situations, and the most important part is that to build our character, because to differentiate between a good and a great person or even a leader is from our own character. That is based on my experience when we recruit people, and also when we develop leaders. The second point I shared previously is building our environment, how to create our own personal growth environment, how do we create our own 70-20-10, and even implement as well the R3, the reduce, reuse, and recycle that we, all of us, have been hearing talking about environment. Thirdly, also touch about awareness and the importance about for us to understand our current stage and where do we want to go and what are the things that we need to watch out or we need to take care when we want to go to that destination. Fourthly, I was talking about reflections. How important is doing a regular reflections? For me, my recommendations is we do daily reflections in the evening after we complete the whole of activities before we go to bed. After we take a nice shower, then it is good to take time to do our reflections. What we have been doing today, what we have done, and what are the things that we would like to do better not only for the next day, but also for the rest of our journey when we develop our career. Lastly, I also talk about trade-off. This is the part that I recommend it is the essential to prioritize our time. Where do we spend 80% of our time? Do we use our time to just relax, enjoy our life, and then wait for something to happen, or we use our 80% of our time to really focus to develop ourselves and also prioritize the things that we want to do in our life that support the destination that we want to achieve. So this is about the heart that we have I presented in the previous session in our part one. So if you have not heard that one, please feel free to go to YouTube under Marcus B. So you can find all the sessions that I presented in and the teachings that I have shared, whether it is through the animations or through the live speaking like now. So next, let's go to the second topic, which is market. In this, I would like to share the importance as well of understanding the different industries and how does it impact in terms of our career development. and how does it impact to also to our career as well when we want to go to a professional career. So I just mentioned the first one, for the example of type of industries. There are so many different type of industries. I just mentioned some of them here, such as banking, constructions, chemical, agriculture. Of course, there is also other things like manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, and many other things I cannot also think of at the moment from the top of my head. But if you Google, the list is very long in terms of type of industries. So why it is important to understand about this? Different industries, because of their market, because of the way they operate their business, we already mold also the culture of the organizations, and because of that they also mold also the type of people that they need to have, and because of their field and their business also will impact the investment that they want to have in the technology. So for example, if you are a HR, right, a human resources person, work in the banking and the construction for sure is a big difference. In the banking, we also need to understand that many things we need to follow a lot of guidance from the financial authorities, from the government financial authorities, locally as well as globally. And a lot of things are, if you can imagine, like now we are doing in banking, we do a lot of things are online, including also a lot of systems internally also need to be online because of the requirements from the government financial sectors, which is very tight usually. So everything has to be traceable. Everything has to be can be visible as well. So a lot of investments have been put in the banking. In constructions, for example, because you do a lot of physical things. Many things we cannot just using the HR system like what we are doing in the banking when we are managing people, when we are taking the record as well. Of course, now construction business, because a lot of global construction business, many things also has already become online. But the type of people that we hire is also different. So this is the one that we don't hire, for example, like a civil engineer, as many as in banking compared to constructions. When we apply a job, it is important to understand the industry because you don't want to put your CV is in the too big wide industries where actually they don't need us, or in the creating competitions that is most likely we will not be able to be seen by the recruiters or even by the system because of the keywords that we need to we have in our resumes is different than what they are looking for. So it is important to understand what kind of profile that we have, where are we going, what are the things that we want to do. That is why it is important to understand about ourselves in the first part of the discussion that I shared previously under heart before we really target the industries that we want to go. So if you are a civil engineer, for example, for sure the first priority is like you go to the constructions perhaps or go to his manufacturing. Yes, you can go also to chemical because they might need when they build the either the plant or a manufacturing, they might need a civil engineer. So those are the things that we need to put in our radar screen and also prioritize because you don't want to create too many different resumes. Try to emphasize different things, and you know that the sending 1,000 resumes of various industries might not be as productive as sending, for example, 20 or 30 job applications to the construction companies where there is an increase or there is a need in terms of the skill set you have. So this is why it is important to understand about the industries. Next is the size of companies. I put SME, which stands for a small medium enterprise, and MNC, which is multinational companies, and we also have startup, local and international. Similar to the type of industries, the different size of the companies also will determine the type of people that we need to we will work together, and also what is the focus and what are the challenges that they might face. And similarly with also the industries, the amount of investments in terms of people development, in terms of technology will also determine based on the size. So under normal circumstances, yes, we can see that we can expect when you are a young graduate or just started 1 or 2 years, your experience, for example, you want to change company, when you move from SMEs to MNC, you can expect that the MNC will provide you a more structured development plan, a more structured even onboarding, more structured also performance reviews and talent discussions. Within SMEs, because the focus is more the survival mode, they might not have the time and the resources to focus on those aspects. For startup, as you can imagine, their focus is really to grow, really to stabilize and sustain also the business that they are entering. The startup also can be supported by MNC or SMEs depending on the situations. Between local and internationals, this is just to give the impressions of when you work for a local company, you also should expect that the culture will be similar to the country where you are working at. So if you are working in a local company in Singapore, you should expect that most of the people will be local people, especially those that is in the management, for example, on the administrations, in the sales. We don't expect too many foreigners, and the culture most likely will be according to what is we commonly see in Singapore. Similarly, in your own country, whether it is in Indonesia or Malaysia, if you work for a local company in Malaysia, then you should expect that the culture that you are used to it, that you grow up with in that country also will be similar that you see in that organization. International organizations, or we call it the multinationals, the global, of course, they will always carry a different type of culture as well to their organizations. They respect the local cultures, but at the same time, they also carry their own DNA when they come to a country. So the size usually is also bigger because the expectations of this international is that they have different organizations or departments that they need to build. But it doesn't mean that all the internationals are bigger than locals, or maybe some of the internationals even smaller than SMEs, because for them they might have, like for example, only they focus Singapore, for example, as a sales hub. So they don't need a lot of they don't need HR, they don't need a lot of admin, they don't need a lot of office, because nowadays, especially in the current pandemic situations, people work remotely, so they don't need to even have an office space. So they cannot expect that when you apply, for example, you're a civil engineer, right? You apply to international company that setting up in Singapore, but actually their business in Singapore, the target business is only for commercial, for sales, because because they are more on like regional business. Of course, they don't need an office. So when you apply a civil engineer for an engineer, most likely it will not come up to the surveys, or they will not, even your name will not come up into the radar screen, because first of all they don't even have a job. So the size also of the organizations over here that I mentioned, it doesn't mean that international is for sure is bigger than the rest. No, it doesn't mean like that. But it means it's also the size that they can grow might be bigger than SMEs and MNCs when they first start up in that country, when they just establish the department or even the entity, could grow bigger as the market grows. So this is the one that you need to consider also on the size of the companies. Again, back to the career development, for example. So the international is similar. I mean, it's the same as the MNCs, right? So let's put it under one group. So even though, for example, the MNCs that just came into Singapore or to the country that you live in is only as a commercial 2 or 3, but the opportunity is also to grow the business in the region, because it's going to be the hub, and you're being hired, for example, as an office management, or say like even like a senior office executive, not even an office manager. So in the long run, first of all, that you need to look into it is your career development, the way they structure the career development, the opportunity even to go to another sections or business divisions that they have, whether it is in your country or outside your country or even their headquarters. Second is also the opportunity that the company will grow big. So because you're part of the pioneer, for example, in that startup, in that establishment of that MNC in that country, so there is an opportunity that you also already set up the ground, you already set up the credibilities, and when there is a larger opportunity, you will be the top one that will be appointed or will be selected to fill up that post, rather than they look for external, because looking for an external candidate is very expensive and time consuming. So this is the one that you need to consider as well: the current size, the opportunity size, I call it, and their background and their success stories when they establish a company in different countries, and also the existency. Of course, don't forget about the product that they are selling. I didn't mention in this slide anything about the product, but you can from there also you can gauge their profitability, their credibility, as well as the sustainability of the product. So all of this, please put it in your considerations when you want to decide where you want to prioritize to develop your career or even start your career as well. The next topic is I want to share is, of course, a type of roles. This is the one that based on the heart that you did your review. Where do you want to go? For some of us, because for example, just now I use a civil engineer, right? So most likely you will stick with that engineering area. If you're electrical engineer, then most likely you will stick with that. But many of us take, for example, business administration. Business administration, you can go to accounting, you can go to marketing, you can go to sales, you can go to HR, you can even go to banking, for example, as a banker. So if you have this degree, that is why it is more important for you to really take your time and spend your time 80-20 rules, remember on the trade-off, to digest and also to understand who you are and where do you want to grow in your career, because by the time you start, it is better to stay in that path. Might not be the same title, that is not my recommendation, but stay in the same path. If you start with accounting, for example, as an accountant, then you want to grow to the path that is similar to accounting, and which is usually is finance, or even you go to internal audit, those kind of things. So not suddenly change your path after 3 years to a sales, which is possible, but I don't recommend you to do that, because you need to build a certain base. Unless you join an MNC, that part of your career development, you need to rotate from one department to another department. If not, then you need to, it is good for you to start from what you like to do. Remember that what energizes you every morning to wake up fresh and also go to the office. If that is the things that you need to choose, not just for the sake of, okay, as long as I have an income, I just go there and just try out first. Because sometimes as a young people, we like to try out from one role to another role. Suddenly it's already 5 year pass, which we might miss the career development as well as the career path, that actually when we are focusing on the same role, we can grow in that vertical path as well. So this is why it is important to understand the roles. And similar to the industries as well, you don't want to spread your resume too thin, and also create a different resumes. Besides, there's a lot of time investment that you need to do. Is also is for what do you call that one, is in terms of the roles, you might be not be able to focus. And but if it is good, for example, that you need to specialize, at least you create your resumes really focused, and also you make sure that all the keywords, everything is in place. And you also practice your interview, practice your selection process for that role, so rather than you spread it yourself too thin. Okay. The next one is size of roles. Whether you want to start with an individual contributor, I see, or as a leader in the for local business, for national, for regional or global. So I think for individual contributors or and people leaders, it's quite straightforward. Individual contributors, you don't have anybody reporting to you. As a people leader, is that you have people reporting to you. So among the local, national, regional, and global, what is the difference? So local usually just handling the local market. National is and regional. This one usually exists in the company in that is have quite a big presence in the country. And the country for sure is big. Like for example, if you choose nearby Singapore, it's like Indonesia, Malaysia, China, Thailand, and many of other countries. They have multiple provinces, they have multiple states and cities as well. So for national, they can sometimes they use the word national because you are responsible for the whole country. And some companies you also use regional, not only for outside the country but also within the country, because you're handling different provinces. So these are the things that you need to understand in terms of the nationals and regional. Global usually is very straightforward, but at the same time, if that company is just startup and because of the establishment that they need to be present in multiple countries, they might open also in different countries with one or two people. that global size, maybe also even though the title is global, might not be as complicated, as complex as even for your national role. So these are the things that you need to see. What is the actual responsibilities? What is the actual accountabilities that the job has? It's not just based on title, then anyhow you apply, or because this is a global role, then could be more interesting, more income as well for me. No, it doesn't mean like that, because maybe the global is only like 3 countries, and each country you only have 1 or 2 people as a representative, and even for that one they might just use an outsourcing. So these are the things you just need to watch out, and you just need to understand the JD. That is why it is important to understand the actual accountabilities, responsibilities, and the actual meaning of your role itself. So this is all about the market that you need to understand. Of course, if you attend the live webinar, there is a Q&A. You can ask more questions, or you can contact me as well through the Instagram under MarcusB Job and Career. And you can follow as well. You can check if there is any answers in that. If not, you just drop me a questions. If they have enough questions that common question that we need to set up, maybe we can also set up another live webinar. And if you want to have more one-to-one coaching or group coaching together with your friend about the whole job search, please let me know as well through the Instagram. Okay, so a quote: be proud of who you are, what you have experienced and done. So this is the one that when you're choosing a role, when you're choosing the industries, when you're choosing also the title that you want to have, is that you understand yourself. You understand it from the projects that you have done. What are the things that made you satisfied? What are the things that you can contribute? What are the strengths that you have? So start from the strength and from your experience in the projects, in even in your social life, in your volunteer work, to tap that, because those are the things could be translated into your passion as well. So when you are choosing the previous activities for the roles, the industries, and also the scope that you have, please start with that, and then do not underestimate the passions, and the enjoyment that you have by doing those activities as well to support your career. So next, I will talk about network. So this one will be the last part of the job search. Will be the part 3 of part 3 that I will present in the next session. So in network, I will talk about referrals. What is the difference and the importance between internal and external referrals? Agencies, how many agencies are there? What are the difference between the agencies? How do we select agencies? And also in terms of the job portals, what is available in your country, what is available in Singapore, and what is the use of these job portals as well in helping us to find a job or even to change a career. So that is all about the job search. Again, if you want to listen to our online training, there is a paid online training that you can subscribe to under AV610 campus. And currently, because of the Labor Day month, I have special promotions for the foundations in terms of job search and career development under HEART for $9, which is normally in the retail price. I put it under for Singapore 278. So that is the current promotions you have. Again, if you want to contact me, you can use Instagram, the Facebook. Better Instagram, because I check Instagram more often than Facebook under MarcusB Job and Career. Then I will answer your question as much as possible. And currently also I am running promotions, especially on Mother's Day, for you to provide your comment, and I will select the 5 top comments about your mother, your appreciations on your mother, to be able to win these 30-minute sessions one-on-one with me. And again, if you have any other questions, if you want to have more detail, you can send me an email. And part of the current promotions, when you send me an email to this, and then there is also a template that I can share to you about job search. In that template, I list down the different topics, key topics that is for us to remember, and also to be reminded when you are doing the job search, including also to relocate from one country to another country. In this case, also I use another country to come to Singapore. So there is a template I created. There is also a simple scoring I built in that template for you to use when you are doing, you're looking for a new job. So yes, please make use of those things. Thank you again for your time, and I'll see you in the next session.